Yeah, I had seen these, big accounts online that were talking, federal policy and elections. And I was like, man, we really need someone like that in Texas, to really break things down because as you know, like it is just a living hell here. And our legislative session moves so fast. But I kept trying to find other people to do it. That's how it always goes. We always think someone else is better equipped than we are. And my friends just kept saying, no, Kat, like we think you should go do this. Like you love to talk about these things. You love to talk about politics, and we would love for you to talk to somebody other than us about them. My husband ended up buying me a ring light for Christmas almost 2 years ago now, and he was like, just try it because if you fail, it means nobody saw it. And the good news is no one saw it, so it's fine. He is a great motivational speaker. And so I did. And so I just kind of kept going. And, I don't come from a social media background. I don't come from a professional political background. But I like to say that I'm an average Texan that pays above average attention. And I knew I could bring this unique voice. Like you said, I'm a mom. I'm literally hiding in my kid's room right now because I know it's the last place that they'll come to find me. And I knew I could help and, break down what's happening in Texas in a way that, people can understand that, get rid of the wonky language, help them filter out the noise to know what's actually moving, what are just, sensational sound bites versus what this is what we need to actually be worrying about and focusing on. And here's where we can make, some inroads and have some victories.
So I love that because it sounds like a very sane thing to do. It's like, so it needs to be explained. Fine. Nobody else will do it. My friends are sick of hearing me talk about it. I'll explain it. What was the reception like, though, as you started to grow? Because I'm thinking like you weren't maybe expecting it to blow up the way that it did.
Actually, I thought it was gonna be a lot easier than it was. I was
Oh,
like, yeah, it's like people, will come on. But I don't think I expected, I've been incredibly fortunate. I've had this account now for a year and a half. I have been fortunate, to go to the White House. I've been able to introduce the vice president, at her residence for an event honoring Latinos. And my kids have gotten to go with me to some of this stuff, my husband. And I've gotten to take Texans with me to those spaces. So I definitely did not expect those things. And I didn't expect the sense of community that and how many Texans needed that sense of community of knowing like I'm not alone. I'm not this one lone blue dot in this big state. And seeing that has been really rewarding. Seeing that it is a safe space for a lot of Texans to come to say like this is what I'm going through. This is how this bill or this issue really affects me as a person. That has been great and it has been awesome. There's a lot of since I've built primarily on Instagram. It's primarily, millennial moms that are not being reached by traditional outreach methods. And so for them, I didn't know I had a place in politics. I didn't know I had a seat at the table. And it's giving them that agency to say, no, I'm willing to talk about politics. We know as women, especially, we're told like, oh, it's not polite. Don't talk about that. And they're getting that permission to do so. And that's been great. And for the most part, everything's been good. We've had some trolls. We've had some other things. There's some Republican lawmakers in Texas that are not Howdy fans, but
well,
that
they're
means we're
basically
doing things right.
trolls. Right? Like I
Yes.
feel like in many ways, well, they're threatened, right? They're threatened by the work that you are doing. So we're a few weeks out from the election and I know because I follow you, I saw in your stories, I was like, oh no, Howdy's sick. You got sick. And we all know what it's like to get sick when we have like a mission, a plan. It's like, we don't plan on being sick. And I DM'd you. I was like, it's okay to take a break. But you were like, no, like this, I have to tell you people, she was like on her bed, like making videos. Like, I just need to knock on one more door. I was like, Howdy, it's okay. This is I think what I said to you was it's a marathon, not a sprint, but it's also a relay race. Like there are
I
the
think I just
people.
chose not to respond to you in that
You
moment. And I was
did.
like, oh, I did. Okay. I mean, I had NyQuil, I had all the things. Like, yeah, it was rough being sick because we're in this final stretch. And in Texas, because of gerrymandering, we have so few races that are competitive. We really only have about 15 total statewide that are really competitive. That's about like 9 state house seats. Obviously, Colin Allred in our Senate seat is very competitive. And then we have 3 Supreme Court of Texas seats. Everyone kind of is probably familiar with the Kate Cox case when the Texas Supreme Court denied her the emergency health care that she needed, and she had to flee the state to get the care that she needed. Well, 3 of those judges are up for re-election. And those are races that, the polling shows that as Texans understand and are given kind of the background and know that where their tie-in is to reproductive rights, they do end up flipping for the Democrats in this race. So it's about 15 competitive races, but we have very limited resources in Texas. It's a very big state. It's very expensive to spend money here. And so it really requires Texans to be really laser focused on the winnable races that we have, because they're the only way that we're going to pump the brakes on this extremism. Greg Abbott's voucher scheme, he's about 4 votes away from being able to funnel public dollars into private schools that have no oversight. And so we have to win these races. And that's why, being sick, I'm like, no, like, I've got to be out here doing all the things. We've only got so much time for these races. But I feel really good. Colin Allred has actually, we've seen polls where he's leading. Even Fox News now is calling, Ted Cruz's race a toss-up. And no one would have thought, that, even 2 years ago, that we would be in this position of Ted Cruz's race is a toss-up. He only won by, 2.8% of the vote last, back in 2018 when he ran. Colin Allred has run a really disciplined campaign. Texans are really fed up with Ted Cruz. They're tired of the extremism, and they know that, when you look at the ads that he's running on culture wars. He's running on attacking trans Texans. He's not running on any policy. Versus when you look at Colin Allred, he's saying, look, I supported the border bill that, Ted Cruz killed because Donald Trump told him to. I'm here to come to the table and, make the compromises that have to happen to deliver solutions for Texas. And so that's what we're seeing, across the board in Texas. So yeah, we're in that final sprint.
So I had a conversation, another DM, where somebody wrote something snarky to me, a Texas-based person, and they were basically like, "There's no point in doing any of this work. We're in Texas. We're never going to make a difference." And claimed that, and I said, well, I know people who are working hard on the ground to make things happen. And she's like, well, I'm very busy. And I was like, I immediately thought of you, because I'm like, here's a mom who has a full-time job who is doing this stuff on the side. And it's been incredibly impressive to me. So somebody did have that question about Colin Allred. You've had a chance to interview him. What's your vibe, your take on him and because I'm always wary of the I'm a football player and now I'm a politician, but I like this guy. He's just seems very steady. As you said, he's running a disciplined campaign. Is it resonating with the people that you're talking to?
Yeah, I mean, and he was, between, NFL and going to Congress, who's a civil rights attorney, so he's not coming, straight off the field and things. He's got a background. He is incredibly, intelligent, he's incredibly compassionate. He really knows about a lot of, about these issues. And some of the things that he's talking about, we don't hear from Cruz. Him and I had a conversation on what are you going to do to help with childcare costs? Because that's
they're high.
They're high. I'm a working mom, and our childcare, that's like a second mortgage. And I wish I was exaggerating on that. And so we talked about that, and he was like, here's policy things. We've got to work on that. We've got to work on having pre-K options available, and all of these things, and what can we do to reduce cost. Those are the conversations that he's engaging in, and that is resonating with Texans, because that's what they want to hear about. Ted Cruz is a lot like Donald Trump, that when, you go to his rallies and things, he talks about himself and he talks about his grievances, and he talks about how the left is so bad, but he will never come up and tell you what he can offer Texans. And it's because he hasn't offered Texans anything. In the 12 years that, he's been in DC, you can't find a significant bill that's got his name attached to it, that he's authored, that he's passed, none of it. In fact, his most famous moment on Capitol Hill has been him reading Green Eggs and Ham.
I remember that, and maybe that is in his future. Maybe he can do Drag Queen Story Hour or something like that. Maybe that's...
Do they do that in Cancun?
Exactly. his new home. That's probably where he'll have to run off to. One can only hope. I really do. I'm curious. Actually, we can probably bring in Maggie because it's time to talk about what people are thinking on the ground. The voters, the electorates. Hey, Maggie.
Hey.
So you two have never met, and I love doing this. I love introducing folks to each other. And I'm like, Texas is Texas, so it's all the same. So I was like, I'm like, Maggie, you're like, I asked you if you were in Austin, and you said you're from South Texas.
Yeah.
I don't
lived
even
in
actually know
Austin
what that
for
means.
South Texas, the border, essentially. It's like
Okay.
as far south as you can get and still be in the United States. That's where I'm from.
Okay. And Howdy, is that far from where you're at?
Yes, so I'm up in North Texas, so like I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but my family's, from down in South Texas. You won't know this, but you'll know this. We're from, family
Oh,
is all from.
you're breaking up a little bit, so now I'm just going to imagine what you're saying on my end. But we still have Maggie, so I'll use this time to talk to you for a little bit, Maggie, while her camera resets. So, Maggie, you have a new album that dropped this week called
Yesterday.
Sweet. Yeah, just this yesterday.
Yeah.
I haven't checked it out yet, but I've actually seen you dropping a lot of political content on Instagram, at least on Reels, one about JD Vance. So as a comedian who has, a wide variety of interests, how are you finding it now that like politics is so crazy? Like how much are you involving it in your act, and how much are you writing about it? And is it off the cuff?
I think that I like to keep my political, like, musings, I guess. I like to keep those like on Instagram and stuff on stage. Like I don't want to give them my stage time to be talking about their bullshit. You know what I mean?
I like that. I like
And
that a
like
lot.
everybody's talking about that. Everybody's like, that's on everyone's mind. That's on everyone's tongue.
Mhm.
And just the weirdo I am is I never wanted to be just another voice talking about the same stuff. I always want to be, talking about some random stuff that people were not expecting. So like, especially with how politically charged everything is like today, it just kind of feels not hacky, but like it just kind of feels like, oh, everyone's doing this. Like, and I
Mhm.
just have an aversion to doing what everybody is doing. Like even on Instagram, like I don't like those challenge all those little challenges they do. I don't
You're,
like them. The
you're
only
not
way
doing
I'll do
any.
them is if I do them like completely wrong and you know ruin them. But that's just not my personality.
I like what you said though about not giving them your time, because that is actually really hard to pull off for me. Like, because I'm always, and I'm curious about what you think about this too, Kat. Maggie was just saying that part of the reason she doesn't talk about politics on stage as much and saves it for Instagram is because why hand over your time to these folks? Why hand over this energy? Use this time for yourself. And you and I have talked about like rage and like productive rage and things like that. Like, where is your life outside of what we see Howdy Politics? Are you 24/7 politics?
Oh, me?
Oh, that was for Kat, but it looks like she's there. She's not there. We're experiencing minor technical difficulties because that's the way the world is right now. I feel like the world is experiencing technical difficulties just in general.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah. The question was,
Okay, yes, so you're asking about my life outside of Howdy.
yeah.
There's not my husband is like outside of the room, and he will like come through the store and tell you that I'm lying if I say that I have one right now outside of Howdy, because it is. I work a full-time job, and then I like finish and I'm doing Howdy, and I'm doing that until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and then I go to sleep for a little bit, and I gotta get up and get the kids ready and start all over. I was laughing with a friend that I tried to watch that new Mormon Wives TikTok show on Hulu, and my brain could not handle that hard of a turn. So I'm just gonna turn my brain off, and everyone's talking about it, and I'll watch it, and I couldn't. My brain could not handle the hard turn. It is like, no, I have to be listening to like a podcast. I have to be doing something to like learn or do something.
So
So
with Maggie, how do you do it? How do you keep your brain from focusing on teach because I'm sure everybody watching is also politics 24/7. So what's the trick?
it's a little, it's not that, you just kind of got to look like step back and look at like how everything is going and realize like we are powerful together, but at the end of the day, who knows what's going to happen. So I got to focus my energy and attention on what I can do, my sphere of influence. I can take care of my friends. I can take care of my community. I can help with all, I can do what I can do for the problems that I see. And, like I don't have the knowledge or capacity to do something like Kat is doing, but that's what she can do. She can help and she can do all of it. And so I think that if I focus on the problem is giant and there is no solution. And that's just how if you focus on all the trouble and all the problems and all of the horribleness of, politics, you're going to really feel like, there's nothing you can do, because if you look at it that way, there is nothing you can do. But if you focus your energy and attention on like, what is it that I can do to fix the problems that I see in my everyday life, then you feel like you're accomplishing something and you're not just yelling into an echo chamber.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
I think that's what we really need more of in Texas too, is it is a big state. And it's just if everyone can just do a little bit more than they did last cycle, and if everyone can just do that little bit that they can when they can with what they have, we can get there, because we're so close in Texas. And it's just we just need a few more people to say, I can't go and dedicate my whole life, but I can give like an hour this week, maybe not even an hour altogether at one time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need in Texas. That little bit of action from a little bit more people.
Do you find, Maggie, with your, like, because you're in LA, you're in Texas sometimes, but are you finding now that the people that you keep in touch with in Texas, are they paying attention more now that we have Kamala Harris in the race? Kamala Harris? Why did I just call her Kamala? What just happened? When did I just become a Fox News contributor? As it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, what am I about to say? I think I just canceled myself.
Can
I just cancel? I'm actually going to do a silk press, and I'm officially now Candace Owens. That's actually a surprise, everybody.
Let's see. Wait, what was the question again? I was focused on the fact that you might be an op.
Yeah. This entire time, it's actually been
in deep cover.
Now that Kamala Harris is in the race, are you finding your people in Texas are far much more interested in politics than before? Were they always interested? Like, how has it changed the vibe?
See, I guess I think that they're much more interested, like in general, in politics, but that might just be like what's going on and the fact that like there's now social media and now you have to see people's opinions, whereas you could have gone, a while and not known. I went several years without knowing what a lot of people really thought until social media came around and let me know. Yeah, but I don't think that the switch from Joe to Kamala really like changed much for, I don't know. There are some people who are like way more excited because they just weren't super, fired up about Joe, and they're excited about, Kamala. But I mean, I don't think it like really, from my perspective and point of view, I didn't think it was anything like earth shattering.
So this is interesting because I realize now, and now would probably be a good time to bring up that graphic because we do have 3 women of color here, and apparently one of there we go. I said, I was like, we're going to hit on this tonight. Drink every time they lie about Trump or are racist towards white people. Try not to die. Good luck. Godspeed. Has anybody had a chance to drink yet? I'm just not even sure. Have we
like, is this a challenge? Because I can
yeah.
I can say some stuff. Trump wants to bring dinosaurs back. Drink. Yeah, Trump was peeking in my window last night. He was. Drink.
Maggie's gonna
Trump
have
has your
everybody
best
drunk.
interest at heart. Drink. Donald Trump would love to come to have dinner at your house with you. He would love to come meet you and eat at your house using your silverware because he cares about you as a person. Drunk yet?
Drink. I was like, I had to grab my kombucha for this because I'm like, I like this drinking game. I think this should be a thing now where we just bring in the trolling comments and figure out how to integrate them into the show. But it is a little wild because when Kamala Harris was named as the nominee, I was very, very nervous because I'm like, oh, the racism is going to come out in ways that we were not prepared for. And are the same people who put her out here, are they going to defend her with their money, their reputation, and everything? Because I was nervous. I was like, okay, you show me, because you said you stand by her. Will it actually happen? And I've been pleasantly surprised. I've been very pleasantly surprised. And so I like to say I was wrong, but show me I'm wrong at the ballot box. That's what I want to see. I like everybody's tweeting and everybody's, they're saying they're doing the work and they're canvassing and they're on the Zoom calls, but I want to see it at the ballot box. That is what I am hoping for. And as far as like the voter suppression stuff that's going on in Texas, Kat, because you can't even register to vote online in Texas.
And now our voter registration deadline did pass on Monday. So just so that if anyone's listening, they're not going to go try, because we make it real hard. But no, you can't online. And actually, when you would go online to like fill out your form, it looks like you are submitting your form online, but it's actually no. That's just step one. You can fill it out, but then you have to print it. And so there are a lot of people that would think that they were registering to vote because they would fill it out, they'd press submit and all that. And no, you can't register online. It has to get printed off. You've got to mail it. We have
you have to pay for a stamp.
Yes, unless you go to your county tax office, some public libraries, all these things. But even that, it's just not. It's not accessible to a lot of people, and it's not easy. It's not made to be easy, and it's.
I'm sorry. I'm actually still caught up on the fact that they have to pay for their own stamp. Like, that's actually a little insane if you think about it. Like, because it should be like no postage required. Like, you should just be able to drop that in any mailbox anywhere, and it should just go on its merry way.
That's
you have to actually have to
73 cents. Now, if you happen to be at like a voter registration drive and there's a VDR there that can register you, then you're not paying for your stamp. But that's also, if someone that is struggling to get registered to vote is probably not someone who's plugged in enough to know, like, this is where I go. I know that here in Denton County, they're having a voter registration drive, and I can go and they'll register me and they'll carry all the paperwork, all everything I need. That's not the case. So it's not as easy as me just sending a friend a link. Like for my mother-in-law, when we registered her back in 2020, it was like, okay, I'm going to print out the form for her. I'm going to sit there with her and make sure it's filled out, and I'm going to put it in the envelope, put the stamp, and make sure it gets mailed, which is really what, I really try to get my followers to do. But it's crazy. And we have, last month we had, our Attorney General, Ken Paxton, had the homes of abuelitas.
Sorry.
Like little old ladies had their homes raided because they were registering other elderly Latino voters, and they were trying to accuse them of ballot harvesting. They found no evidence of it, and it was literally just older Latino women who had realized the barriers and were trying to help people in their community get registered. And of course, it's not surprising to anyone in Texas that this was targeted at the Hispanic community. We've also seen, he's tried to sue Bexar County. That's where San Antonio is, which is a predominantly Hispanic area in Texas. And he tried to sue for them they were trying to send out like just applications for if you needed the mail-in ballot. He tried to sue to stop that. He was unsuccessful. A lot of his lawsuits they're for PR. and they're on the taxpayer dollars. And that was one of them where he knew it wouldn't go through, but he wanted to be able to get a little press conference in there. He wanted to get some tweets out, and get some PR, and taxpayers are paying millions of dollars for these lawsuits that he knows are going nowhere.
Yeah, the criminal Ken Paxton is absolutely right. Between Ken Paxton in Texas, DeSantis in Florida, Abbott in Texas, like all of these guys, it's clear that nothing that they're doing has anything to do with helping people. We are almost out of time. We went through 30 minutes really quickly, but I want to just say, before I say bye to both of you, I want to know, do you look at other states and get jealous and like think like, I'm gonna leave Texas and go elsewhere and not have to deal with this BS?
Well, I live in LA, so
yeah. For me, it's yes and no, because there's times where I do. My family has always been in Texas. Like before it was Texas, before it was Mexico, my family has always been here. And the only thing that my ancestors could pass down was resistance. And there have been hundreds of years of white men that have tried to tell us, leave, you don't belong, and they stayed. And so I'm like here also as you will not force me out of my home. We always hear it's people moving in from California. No, it is Texans that are fed up with these things. And it is Texans who want change and are going to make that happen. And it's especially going to be Texas women, and it's going to be Latina women who are leading that. So there's definitely times. My husband's a firefighter. We're a little bit too far in his career for him to start over. So that's also a factor, but change is going to happen here.
I love that. Maggie, are you going to go back? Or maybe you should go back and join the resistance?
I mean, no. You know what I mean? There's plenty of good people on the ground in Texas doing a great job. They don't need one extra. Me being there is not going to fire up anybody additional that is not currently fired up by the people who are there doing a great job of firing people up.
Okay,
so I'm not going to come in there and single-handedly take Texas over no.
But what about you'll go
handle it in-house.
You'll go back and tell jokes though, right? Like
Sure.
Okay. Because the resistance needs jokes. The resistance needs jokes, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't need to have an address there. Even though I love Texas, I'm an aggressively I love Texas. I love being Texan. If that's how y'all are going to be, there's no reason for me to move back.
You heard it, Kat. You got to fix up things. Maggie will come back and tell the jokes. I'm so grateful that both of you were able to come on for our first show, because I really did. I was like, Texas is just one of these things to me that is just like, I'm like, I just don't know about Texas. And Kat, you give me hope. Maggie, you and I can hang out in LA, and maybe you can we can visit Texas together. You can show me around and tell me what to do and what not to do. Places like, give me one of those maps that's like, don't go to this town, like that kind of thing. So, everyone definitely check out Maggie's new album. It's called The Sweet Life. The Sweet Life?
Sweet Enough.
Sweet Enough. Sweet Enough. I know you like candy, but also cupcakes. So yes, check out that special. And y'all follow both of these women. They're amazing, funny. Kat, you're very funny too. So maybe you want to come and do some stand-up with us once we save democracy. That would be delightful for me. So
yeah, if we can avoid Ken Paxton becoming the U.S. Attorney General, then I'll have some sense of humor, come November 6th, because we will export our crazy in Texas. That is our number one export.
That is your number one. See, she's got jokes. Kat Vargas has jokes, everybody. Well, thank you to both of you. I will see y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye.